Hi everyone, welcome to VCISO series Cybersecurity Policies, Tailoring and Scoping. I had another video about the policies and how we select them, how we implement them. And this is just for tailoring and scoping to give you a view of how we design the policies based on organizational needs and who is applicable to. So to refresh your memory, I just brought this pyramid from the ISC squared or CISP that talks about policy, standard, guidelines, and procedures. So policies, general management statements are defined at executive level. They talk high level. All remote workers must use protected or encrypted channels. Standards, more details. Okay, this type of encryptions are approved by the company. They must use TLS 1.2 or higher versions. With this cybersecurity in terms of encryption, AES, authentication, and hashing. And then comes guidelines. Guidelines are defined to help you implement the best for the business. Maybe there are multiple options. You can use both Global Protect as a client and a web version of the VPN. But the guidelines talks about the client version, for instance, that is preferred by the business. And the procedures are step-by-step procedures as to how the SMEs and experts implement those VPNs for the consumers or employees. That means someone net new or just an expert new hire could just open up that document and just go through the document. Of course, if he or she or they have access to those links, they could implement those documentation without any help. So getting back to our slide, the introduction, objective, understand the differences between tailoring and scoping organizational policies and how they are applied. Agenda, definition of tailoring, definition of scoping, key differences, examples, and conclusion. What is policy tailoring? The policy tailoring, let's say you reference a policy that is coming from NIST, HIPAA based on compliance standards, ISO, PCI. So you just cut or you select the ones that are most applicable to your organization based on your organizational needs and goals and nature of business. So you customize based on organizational needs. Let's say you are just in a healthcare environment. You're just referencing NIST. Some of the items that are coming from NIST may not be applicable to your environment. Maybe the data, they're just typing about all the data at rest must be encrypted, but tokenization, the type of encryption, you may not really need the encryption. Tokenization is required, or it's needed for you. Or maybe database. There is a database that you want to expose to someone that you want to hash it. That means it's one way. It's not returnable or reversible. That's things that you may want to choose. Focus on ensuring alignments with department's goals and processes. You don't want to just select a tool or an encryption type that you're not capable of implementing, or it just gives you difficulty, or it's going to be troublesome for your experts or your consumers to use. Flexibility within broader organizational guidelines. That means shouldn't be interfering with the other organizational guidelines. You cannot have conflicting items, right? You cannot say, okay, all the data at rest at the disk level must be encrypted for corporate laptops, and you say another term that, okay, for this department, the data may not be encrypted. No, you have to make sure that is entirely applicable, and for whatever audience or whatever that is applicable to, that is really have the flexibility. Example, all employees must use multi-factor authentication to access corporate system. Tailored one, Remote employees must use hardware-based MFA like YubiKey, connect through a company-approved VPN, and complete quarterly secure access training, and maybe use a corporate laptop. These are the tailored policies. But what about scoping? Scoping means who this or those policies are applicable to or applied to. That means the border and the range is defined, defines the target audience, departments, teams, and employees. General policy like all employees must complete annual cybersecurity training. Scope policy will talk about okay, only employees with access to sensitive data or critical systems must complete advanced cybersecurity training annually. Maybe advanced covers the business continuity. Maybe it talks about disaster recovery or incident response. Key differences between tailoring and scoping. The focus of tailoring, customizing content of the policy, while the focus of scoping is defining the coverage. The objective of tailoring is adjusting to specific needs of teams or areas, while the objective of scoping is clarifying or who or what is impacted by that policy. The approach of tailoring is modifying details or conditions of the policy, while the approach of scoping is identifying scope and boundaries of the policy. I just skip the example. I just go to the next slide. The best practices for tailoring and scoping policies. So tailoring usually involves stakeholders in the policy review process. Make sure tailor policy align with overall organizational goals. Regularly review and update tailored policy as organizational need change. Scoping best practices, ensure clear communication about who the policy applies to, review and update the scope periodically as roles, teams, and technologies evolve, align scoping decisions with business needs, regulations, and risk management. It's all about alignment. It's all about deciding who this is applicable to. So, conclusion, tailoring and scoping are essential components for creating effective and relevant organizational policies. We cannot just bring a policy from whoever or Nest, for instance, and say, okay, this is my Bible that I'm gonna follow. No, you need to just adjust it. You need to tailor it and you need to scope it. Tailoring ensures that policy fits specific organizational needs. Scoping clarifies where and how policies apply, avoiding unnecessary complexity. Regular updates and stakeholders' involvement are key to maintain policies that are both effective and practical. You know, in this business, things evolve. The things that might have been approved yesterday may not be good to approve today. So it has to be reviewed. It has to be modified on at least periodically. It could be yearly. It could be based on different technologies that are coming or any type of change into the industry or environment. Thank you for this slide, and we'll see you in the next slides.